Welcome to Week 3 of Monday Morning Quarterback Clips, presented this week by Conference USA Field Judge and RMAC Position Supervisor Victor Sanchez. These weekly plays are ways to build consistency statewide in rule understanding, mechanics, philosophies, and application. Please use these clips in the Huddle program as a learning tool and a way to build on your officiating. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to our office. And remember, September 15th is the deadline for Part 1 rules.
Welcome to Week 3 of the Commissioner's Top 10 Monday Morning Quarterback Plays. We're going to be looking at a few plays today, both for well-executed mechanics and other areas where we could improve. Again, I remind everybody, these plays are for learning purposes. We are not here to disparage any individual or crew of officials. So make sure that you look at these plays, talk about them in your pregame, talk about them in your groups, and let's go ahead and get on with the action. Play number 1 is a free kick, and we get a call for tripping on this play. On this play, we want to focus our attention on this player right here, who's going to trip one of the kickers as they are coming down the field. So as we see this play run, right around the 37-yard line, you see the trip happen. We get a flag from our linesman, and then we get another flag, a flag from our back judge, and a flag from our linesman. We also have a foul for holding on this play, and I'm not so concerned with the holding foul. It is a good foul to call. As this play develops, if you look at the matchup in this area, you're going to see we have a pretty severe restriction right at the point of attack, and that is something that we definitely want to get. You can see him just holding on to him for dear life, and we get a flag on that too. So we have 2 fouls on this play, but I want to just reiterate the good job of officiating on a kicking play. Kicking plays are the toughest ones to work, and we have good flags for this trip right here in this area, and then we have another flag for a hold up here at the 30 in this area. So good job, team officiating on this play. Excellent work. Keep up the good work on kicking plays. Play 2 this week is a 2-foul play, one that we do pick up for holding in the interior line, and then a second foul for a blindside block that we are going to miss going down the sideline. Let's look at this first foul. We're going to have a call from our referee for a hold here on the interior of the line, and I'll let it run, and you can see this play develop. Right here, you're going to see this restriction on the defender right there, which is big enough for a hold. He's got his shoulder twisted. He's got a handful of jersey. Most importantly, though, he has taken a step away from the player, and that springs the runner. So good call for a hold right there. We can see that flag come out. Good patient flag. Excellent call. Now, what we want to look at on this play is our movement of our line judge here. Now, line judges and head linesmen, I see a tendency for us to start moving too quickly once the ball is snapped. So let's just be slow and patient. So that way we give ourselves opportunity to see blocks and to see plays clearly. So the line judge's key is this outside matchup, and if he works the process of snap, tackle to key, then he will read run on this play and doesn't have to move so quickly. So you can see once the ball is snapped, he starts moving and then he stops, realizing that, wait, I got to run play. I need to stick where I'm at. So let's just be patient and not move until we have to move. So if we read it snap, tackle, run block, and we hold our spot, we would still be back here. We would still be back here at the line of scrimmage, and we would be in good position to turn and look up the field and see this runner would make his way up the field. As it is, we are parallel to the runner, and that's really going to hurt us now because we're not going to be able to see plays in front of the runner, and we're going to miss a blindside block. So the play continues, and in this area right here, right about the 22, you're going to see this attack by the offensive player on the defensive player. and he is going to clean him out. Blindside block, puts him on the ground and stands over him. So what we'd like to see happen is for our line of scrimmage official, at this point here, you should be anywhere from 5 to 7 yards behind the runner. That would give you the opportunity to see this block happen. Now, everybody's saying, well, what about this block down here? Who's looking at that? We would hope that our back judge would have made their way to that block from up here, and he has vision of that. You can see the line of scrimmage official appears to be watching that as well. So that's where we have mechanical breakdowns, and this is where we need to talk in pregame about who's going to look at what. So if the back judge is going to take the outside block, then by all means, our line of scrimmage official has to be looking inside and should be responsible for picking up this block. However, because of our positioning, we're not going to get it. If we're further back, we will be able to get that block. So just something to think about in your pregame conversations of who can pick up this blindside block. The other option here, and not sure if the umpire would have a great look at it, but the umpire definitely he's already turned away from his piles down here and he's starting to look up the field. So if he can get to that and he can save us on that, that would be great. But I'm not going to bank on the umpire getting there in time. If he does, fabulous. But don't hang your hat on trying to get to that block. This really should be something between the back judge and the line of scrimmage official as to what they are going to be refereeing. And line of scrimmage officials, again, keep some depth. Stay back. Give yourself some space to see what's happening, so that way you can pick up blocks. And also for your own safety. He almost runs into number 46 because he's too close to the play. They're 17 and 18 years old. We're not. We do not have to keep stride for stride with them. Okay, don't try and out-hustle them. Your own safety and being able to work the play effectively is what's most important. Play number 3 this week is illegal man downfield that we called incorrectly. And let me just preface this by saying that illegal man downfield is one of the, if not the hardest foul to get on the field. It is a 2-step process, and I want to explain the 2-step process to you so you have better accuracy on these plays. Line of scrimmage officials, this is tough, but if you use the process, you'll be right 99.9% of the time. It starts off with knowing where we're snapping the ball. So we know that we are snapping the ball at the 39-yard line. So that's our first spot. Our next line to know is going to be 3 yards downfield. So we know that the 42 is going to be our line of demarcation for illegal man downfield. And so the key to this is not knowing when the ball was thrown and then trying to find where the player is. It's knowing where the player is, then recognizing whether or not the ball is in the air. So what I mean by this is if you have an illegal man, an offensive lineman downfield illegally beyond 3 yards, your next step in the 2-step process is to look back for the ball. If the ball is in the air, you do not have a foul. I'm telling you, you do not have a foul because you do not know when that ball was thrown, and you do not know where that player was when the ball was thrown. Now, if you have a player beyond 3 yards and you look back and the quarterback has not thrown the ball, well, now you know you're going to have a foul. You just need to wait for him to throw it. And once he throws it beyond the line of scrimmage, you know you have a foul for illegal man downfield. If you use that 2-step process, you will get these calls correct 99.9% of the time. Let this play go through and you can see how we got this wrong because we did not use the correct 2-step process. The ball is snapped, and now because of the shift in the formation, our head linesman is going to have primary responsibility for line of scrimmage for intentional grounding, as well as primary for illegal man downfield. So the ball snapped, and right here the quarterback is getting ready to throw the ball. It's almost out of his hand, and we can see we have linemen at the 41 straight across. We'll put it in slow-mo. Ball's in the air. They have not crossed that 3-yard threshold yet. Ball is caught, and now we see that they're beyond. We see that they're beyond that 3-yard threshold, and so we think we have a foul, and we drop a foul for illegal man downfield, and it's incorrect. Now, had we used the proper process, we would know that as I see the men downfield, okay, I look back, ball was already in the air, I'm going to lay off this foul, it's not there, okay? So it takes practice and it takes film study, but you can use this film in your pre-games, you can use this in your group meetings to talk about how do we practice this two-step process to get illegal man downfield. It's a tough call to make, but trust me, if you train yourself to find the illegal man downfield, then look for the ball. If that ball's in the air, no foul. If that ball's in the quarterback's hand, just wait for him to throw it across the line of scrimmage, drop your flag, you'll get that correct every time. Play number 4 this week is going to focus on mechanics at the goal line. As you can see, we are snapping pretty deep in A's territory. So what we want to do is we want to know that if we're snapping at the 10 or snapping at the 15, the goal line belongs to the line of scrimmage officials. And what we're going to see in this play is that we don't make our way to the goal line and we end up ruling touchdown, but we're not in position to accurately judge whether or not this is or is not a touchdown. So I'm going to let the play, it's going to come to us on the near side and let it roll through. And just watch the positioning of the line judge on this play. So right now, the line judge is not even with the goal line, is not looking down the goal line. So any determination as to whether or not he was in, down early, you're making a guess. So the trick to this is to get to that goal line as soon as possible. If we rewind the play, we can see also that what are we officiating? And it looks like we're looking at the ball. The ball carrier is really not our concern right now. What we should be doing is having our eyes take us to the next matchup, which is that block there. Our back judge has us covered looking at that block there. You can see his eyes headed, his hat headed in that direction. So think about those things as you're working this play, knowing that you don't have any matchup, and the matchup you have is really at the goal line, and start to hustle and get to that goal line pylon. Okay, so if we get to that goal line pylon, the next thing we want to do is we want to get depth from that goal line. We want to be back here where this G is. So I would recommend before the game, take these counters, these yard marker counters, and just move them back off away from the white. Move them back all the way over here by where this guy in the orange is. Give yourself room to work. So that way when you get to that point, you are back here, you have good white depth, and you can see the play develop at the goal line and judge accurately whether or not this is or is not a touchdown. So from here it looks like it is a touchdown and it looks like we got it right, but we won't know for sure if we're not in good position. And that's the key here, line of scrimmage officials, is get in good position. Hustle to that goal line, referee players, don't referee space. If the ball carrier is not threatened, don't worry about it. He's not going to hurt you. All he can do is fumble, and everybody will know that if he fumbles. Work goal line mechanics, talk about this in pregame, talk about how you're going to get there, and get these markers off the field. They're for pretty. They're not there for your safety. Move them back off. Don't throw them off. Move them back off, and make it so you can work deep at the pylon. Okay. Play number 5 this week is going to have to deal with the process of a catch. We want to make sure that we are watching the complete action when especially a receiver is going to the ground. Remember, the catch is completed when 3 elements are met. Number 1, control of the ball. Number 2, a body part down on the ground inbounds. And number 3 is the element of time to be able to make a move common to the game of football, or surviving the ground if the player is going to the ground in the initial action. So watch this play develop. We're going to have a toss out to the running back. We're going to have a pass to the corner. And whoa, what do we got? We got a play right at the pylon. We've got a lot of action happening here. I want to start off first with mechanics. Love that our back judge has some good depth and is looking down the goal line. This is great right here, looking down while he's positioned down the goal line, but you can see his eyes. His eyes are looking back at his line of scrimmage official, looking to see what his ruling is and if he needs help. Okay, so great job right here by the back judge, just being in good position and looking in the places where he needs to look. We're going to see this play come up, and we're going to see our line judge come down right here, and our line judge is at the bottom here, and he's signaling incomplete. So he has a decision on this play, and it's an incomplete pass, and he rules correctly that it is incomplete. So mechanically, we cover this play very well done. Excellent job of officiating. Now, for the purposes of learning on this particular play, what we want to look at on this play is we want to look at all the elements involved. So we have an airborne player, the ball comes down, he appears to have it in his hands at this point, and now we got to remember, we officiate football from the feet up. Always officiate from the feet up. Just remember the term, football. I'm going to referee feet, and then I'm going to referee ball. So if we use that philosophy, we're going to see that this player's foot may or may not hit the pylon according to this angle. Our line judge had a great look at this, so I'd love to talk to him to see what he saw. Did the foot hit the ground first and then the pylon, or did it just hit the pylon? If that foot hits the pylon, then he's out of bounds, no doubt about it. But if that foot hit the ground first, now we got to go for the next element, right? We have control, we have a foot down in bounds, and so our next element is surviving the ground. So we see him go to the ground, and then we see the ball squirt out. There's our friend right there. That ball squirts out right there. So now we know he did not complete the process of the catch. If he had a foot down and he had control, he did not survive the ground, and that is an incomplete pass and ruled correctly on the field as an incomplete pass. Great job of officiating, excellent mechanics, excellent concentration and vision. Play number 6 today is going to deal with mechanics at the goal line, specifically reverse mechanics at the goal line. We're going to have an interception and a return for a touchdown on this play, and we want to talk about a referee's position relative to the goal line. You see on this particular play we have double-double formation, so our keys are going to be back judge has widest to the near side. Our line judge will have the number 2 receiver, and our head linesman will have these 2 receivers on this side of the formation. So we'll let the play roll. You're going to see quarterback drop back. It's going to make a pass, and we're going to have an interception right there. So now we are in reverse mechanics, and in reverse mechanics, the referee is responsible for the goal line. So I will say this, again, like I said in the earlier video, they're 17 and 18 years old. We are not expecting you to be step for step with them. But we do have to get to our area of responsibility, and in this case, we're talking about the referee moving to the goal line. We can see here the referee obviously has concentration on something happening back here, but once that is determined to not be an issue, we need to start moving our way back to the goal line. Now, we can't see on video whether or not the referee gets to the goal line, but we would like for our referee to make it to the goal line and signal touchdown. He does not have to beat them to the goal line, but at least let's try and get there to get in position to rule on this particular play. Play number 7 this week has a lot going on in it. We're going to talk about illegal participation, what constitutes illegal participation on a play. We have a potential blindside block, and we also have a potential fumble and recovery at the end of this play. So we're going to start off first with talking about the illegal participation rule, and I'm reading the rule out of the book right now, and this is Rule 962. It says, no player shall intentionally go out of bounds during the down and A, return to the field, B, intentionally touch the ball, C, influence the play, or D, otherwise participate. Okay, that is illegal participation. It's a live ball foul, 15 yards from the basic spot. So what we want to do is we want to look down at the lower part of our screen today, and I'll pause it so you can take a look. right down here. You can see we have these players right here. Let me put it in a better spot. We have these players down here. The R player has blocked the K player out of bounds. But if we let this play on, we're going to see that the R player is out of bounds. The K player was blocked out, and by rule can return back to the field so long as they return immediately to the field. But what about this R player? Can this R player come back onto the field? According to the rule I just read, he cannot. And if he does, that is a foul. So we're going to see he returns to the field at that point, and that now is a foul for illegal participation. So how do we cover this, right? Who knows if he went in or out? My opinion on this, the back judge, and this appears to be a four-man crew, so that would probably be the line judge on this side of the field, would have to know whether or not he went in or out on his own. And in this case, he did go out on his own and came back in. So we should have not only a hat down for him being out, but we should have a flag once he steps back onto the field. So that's the first foul on this play. Good play to talk about. Referee, you can have an opinion on this too as you're looking down the sideline. And this is definitely one that we can talk about, right, after the play's over as to how he went out, did he go out on his own, yada, yada, yada. So we let the play develop, and now we're getting ourselves into positions of, okay, how do we cover the rest of this play? He's broken through the initial wave, and now he looks to be in the open field. And so if we look right here, we have the potential. If we look in this area right here, we have the potential for an illegal blindside block coming up. Now, our official at this part, in this part of the field, is looking back, and so we want to be able to look through and see that potential hit happening. Officials on the offside of the field, it is a long way, but there is nothing wrong with coming across for this foul. If you see that coming, you can come across and get that foul. Now, you don't want to make a living doing that, but if you see it and it's clear and obvious, go ahead and flag that from across the field. Because right now, that's all you can do is help with these types of fouls. You see the block there, takes it to the ground, and then now we have the remainder of this play, which is runner down, fumble, recovery. What do we have? So you see the ball come out. It still seems to be on the ground, and then the play cuts off. I apologize for that. I'll let this play to the end there, and I'll try and stop it before it cuts to the next play. But we have that block out of bounds. We have him returning to the field, and then now we have that potential blindside block developing right here. And then as we get to right about there, we see that ball come out. So we should have a beanbag down, unless we're going to rule him down by contact, but it doesn't appear to be down by contact. And it's still loose on the ground, and now we got to scramble for it. So we're going to have to come in hard and rule on who recovered that ball. Does R get to keep it, or is it going to go back to K? But at the end of this, we got to go back and make sure that if we got those fouls for illegal participation and the illegal blindside block, that we administer those correctly, because those are going to be 2 live ball fouls against the return team, and there's going to be some choices for the kicking team on this particular play. This is a tough one, good one to talk about in pregame, good one to talk about where are we looking and what are we looking at, and good rules review for what is legal and illegal participation. Play number 8 today is unsportsmanlike conduct foul. And we'll talk about the difference between unsportsmanlike conduct and unnecessary roughness on these particular plays. But we get a correct call from the back judge for an unsportsmanlike foul. Want to look at this area right here. These 2 players, we're going to see, and it's hard to see on video, but it is there. We're going to see a punch thrown by one of the players, and a flag is going to be correctly thrown by the back judge. So you can see them engaged, and then you see the punch, the player goes down, there's a flag out, and we continue to officiate the play. That is the important part of that particular play, is we continue to officiate the play. So again, We see the action here, back judge flags it appropriately, and then continues to officiate the play as it develops down the field. Great job of officiating there, and we need to get unsportsmanlike fouls and flag them appropriately. So if it's a punch, that is deemed a fight, that is unsportsmanlike, and that has to be called. If you deem it a fight, then that player is ejected for a flagrant foul and has to leave the game. The other one is you can call unnecessary roughness. Let's say it's a strike to the head, but it's not a punch, or it's a prolonged hands to the face and just roughing them up, that kind of stuff. You can call that unnecessary roughness. That doesn't put a counter against the player, but it puts the player on notice that type of play is not football, and we're not going to tolerate that today. But if it's an unsporting act, a physical unsporting act, then definitely deem it that. And if it's a fight, then we got to have an ejection. But we saw this foul, we got it correctly, and that's what we want to do. We got to make sure that we're watching non-football plays and flagging and penalizing non-football plays appropriately. Good job on this play. Keep up the good work. Play number 9 is actually a 2-play vignette. We want to compare what is not a horse collar tackle to what is a horse collar tackle. I'm going to let this play through. We're going to see the quarterback drop back. He's going to move around in the pocket, and he begins to roll out. And it looks like he's tucked it to run. Then he's going to pass, and then we have a tackle from behind. And if we slow this down, we can see that he has the jersey pulled off from the side. It's not inside the back collar. He has the shoulder pads exposed, but he's not inside the shoulder pads. He's not inside the back of the jersey. The jersey has just been pulled off. So I would not call this a horse collar tackle. This is just a tackle. Takes him to the ground. Referee and line of scrimmage official are there where they need to be, which is right on the tackle. So that is not a horse collar tackle. That's just a tackle. Compare that to this tackle that we're going to see at the end of this play, and I'll speed it through. We have a quarterback drop back. You see it's a screen pass. We got some blocking out front. Good open field blocks. No fouls. And then the tackler right here at the end, you're going to see him grab the inside collar and bring him down back to the ground. Let me play it for you one more time. You can see him grab the back inside of the collar and bring it down to the ground. That is a horse collar tackle. So run these plays back and forth in your pregame, so that way you have a good idea of what is and what is not a horse collar tackle. Play 10 this week is a summary of simultaneous catch rules. The coach on this particular play was arguing that this was a simultaneous catch, and the reality is that it was not a simultaneous catch. It was an interception by the defense, and I'll let the play through. And we'll talk about the elements of why this is not a simultaneous catch. You can see the Luke pair both come down with it, and at the end right there, we got the defender with the ball in his possession. So let's back the play up to about right here, and let's start talking about our elements of a catch. We have the 3 elements. We have control, body part down in bounds, and then an element of time to commit an act common to the game, or if the player is going to the ground, surviving the ground with possession of the ball. So in this particular case, while it does look like it could be a simultaneous catch, the offensive player does not complete any of these acts, does not complete the third act, element of time to commit an act common to the game or survive the ground. As a matter of fact, as this play progresses, you're going to see the defender literally just takes the ball from him. So about right here, we got them with potentially both in possession. We have 1 foot down by the offensive player. We don't have a foot down yet by the defensive player, but the play isn't over yet. We now have a foot down by the defensive player. They both have feet down. Argument could be made here that they both have simultaneous possession, but they still have not completed the act of a catch. They have not had an element of time to complete an act common to the game of football. And so as this continues, we see them roll over, and the defender comes out with the ball. He survived the ground. He did everything that he needed to do to make this a catch. So rule of thumb on plays where you have simultaneous, what could be simultaneous action, is that one of those players is going to either come to the ground first or complete the act of the catch or complete a move common to the game of football after they've secured possession, and that is who we want to award the ball to when we have what could be a potentially simultaneous catch. Now, if you ever have a truly simultaneous catch, know the rule that that ball belongs to the team in possession. It does not belong to anybody else. It belongs to the team in possession. Okay, so when in doubt, and you think you have a simultaneous catch, we're going to keep it with the offense. Okay, but go through the process of what is and is not a catch and the three elements: possession, body part in bounds, time element to complete an act common to the game, or surviving the ground on players going to the ground. Bonus play today is mechanics coverage on a potential pass fumble on a rolling quarterback. We're going to see the quarterback roll to his left, and right about here we're going to see that ball come out. Looks like it could have been a forward pass. Looks like it could have been a fumble. We have beanbags on the ground. You see them hit the ground there. So both the referee and the line of scrimmage, the head linesman, are ruling fumble on this play. And I agree with the ruling on the field that it is a fumble. But let's say this is a forward pass. Who's going to be able to tell whether or not this is a forward pass? Typically, we would like for the referee to be the sole determiner of whether or not this is or is not a forward pass, but given his position, he is way behind the play. Not that he's out of position, he's just happened to be in a bad position because of how this play develops. I don't think he would have a really good look at whether or not that arm was coming forward or not. Let it play again. Yeah, it's a tough call to make from that part of the field. Our head linesman has a good look at this. He has a good look to determine whether or not this was the arm coming forward or not. And if that arm is coming forward, you got to come in strong with an incomplete pass signal at that particular point. But you rule fumble, which again, I agree with ruling fumble on this play because you're not sure, and let that play out. Now, the other thing to consider is if we do rule this a forward pass, now, do we have intentional grounding? So we have a quarterback out of the pocket, correct? He's outside of the tackle box. So he can legally ground the ball and get away with it, but there's some things he has to do first. Number one, he has to throw that ball and get it back to the line of scrimmage. And we're going to see that that ball does not get to the line of scrimmage. So if we had ruled this a forward pass, we could have a foul and should have a foul for intentional grounding because that ball did not get back to the line of scrimmage. We're not going to give the quarterback any grace on this because he starts to throw this ball after he's under duress, after he's under contact. He is already in the act of going down and he's throwing that ball. So he doesn't get any grace. Now, let's say he's outside of the pocket and he starts his throwing motion and then gets hit and it doesn't make it back to the line of scrimmage. Then we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We're going to say that it was the hit that impacted the flight of the ball, and we will not call intentional grounding. But on this particular play, good play to talk about the what ifs. We have a fumble ruled on the field, and I agree with the ruling of a fumble. But if this were to be ruled a forward pass, who can see it? Who can indicate that it is a forward pass and rule it incomplete immediately and then start talking about the intentional grounding aspects of this play? Ladies and gentlemen, have a great week out on the field. Use these plays in your pre-games, in your group sessions, and share plays and thoughts on them. I hope these spurn some conversation. Good luck this week, and make your fouls big.
Thank you again for watching this week's Monday Morning Quarterback Clips for Week 3. And again, don't forget to complete your Part 1 Rules exam by September 15th. Have a great week.